Quinoa is a crop from the Andean region of South America. The Andes is a several thousand kilometer long mountain range on the western side of the region, with altitude up to 7,000 meters. Quinoa was domesticated in that region more than 5,000 years ago. Its traditional distribution matches that of the Inca Empire, the biggest empire of the American continent. This empire included many cultures and climates and was based on a complex agricultural system. The Inca Empire, what was the Spanish conqueror found when they reached America in 1492. But this empire was the result of thousands of years of cultural evolution, with some highly developed cultures like Tiwanaku in border between Bolivia and Peru, or Wari in central Peru. All these cultures are known as the Andean civilization. Some of those cultures are known for the big monuments like Tiwanaku in Bolivia or Machu Picchu in Peru. Those cultural developments were based on a complex agricultural system which were associated with a center of plant domestication near Lake Titicaca, in the border between current Bolivia and Peru.
This area produced several domesticated crops, of which the potato is the one which became most popular. But there were also other grain crops like quinoa, caniwa, which is a relative of quinoa with a smaller seed, and another species named tarwi, which is a kind of lupin. And that is not all. There were also other tuber crops like mashua or uyuco or oca, which are pretty unknown outside of the Andean region. These crops allowed the development of agriculture, and this agriculture supported a population of around 10 million people at the time of the Incas. In this photo, what is shown is the Urubamba Valley, which is part of the Sacred Valley of the Incas, near the Inca capital Cusco. The Incas based their agriculture on maize, a crop which was not domesticated in South America, but in Central America, but reached the region thousands of years ago. Other environments where drier and colder are not very good for maize production. It is in these environments where quinoa became an important crop. The system also required the possibility of being able to store big amounts of food. These stores, or silos, were called colcas in the local name. These colcas were distributed in every village within the empire. Some of these colcas are found today in archaeological places from around 800 years ago in the south of Bolivia near the Uyuni salt flats. These colcas were estimated to allow the preservation of several hundred hectares of quinoa production. One way to keep food stored in this system for a long time is called chuño. What is chuño? Chuño is a kind of dry potato which is produced by a technique named lyophilization. Lyophilization is a process by which, under specific conditions, it is possible to transform the water within the tuber, which is in the form of ice in a cold place, to water vapor without going through the liquid phase. When it is done in that way, the flavor of the food is kept for a longer time.
Lyophilized food are currently available in many forms, as dry fruit snacks or dry vegetables. Another food preservation technique is the charqui, by which meat is sun-dried. But there were few sources of animal protein in the Andes, like llamas or cuy, which is kind of a guinea pig. Therefore, plants became the main protein source in a mostly vegetarian population. Quinoa was regarded as a highly nutritious food centuries before the discovery of protein by science. Before Columbus, there were no markets like modern ones, but Chama caravans connected places as distant as the Pacific coast and the eastern Andean valleys. Currently, farmers bring their products for sale in an improvised Andean market. In the Arequipa market, Peru, halfway between the Pacific coast and the highlands, products from the sea to the highlands and from the rainforest to the desert can be found, reproducing ancient exchange traditions.
The conquest of America brought not only huge demographic, economic, and political consequences, but also, and this is central, an enormous exchange of plants and animals between America and Europe and Asia, and vice versa. It is in this context that the uses of quinoa must be analyzed, because after 500 years of the conquest, not only European traditions were incorporated, but in some places, for example, even Chinese traditions were affecting local food. In contrast with species like maize or potato or chili peppers, it took 500 years for quinoa to reach China. And how the Andean people use quinoa and how it is processed will be the subject of the coming videos. So thanks, stay tuned, and see you next.